everybody. It is Tuesday night, which means one thing and one thing only. Going for Two Live Network is presenting the Fantasy Cheat Sheet Live. We are brought to you by the Going for Two Live Network. Please go like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube channel, Going for Two Live. Let's just get right into the show. First, we got my co-host right over here. We got Jordan. Jordan, what is up today, my man?
Nothing too much. This week in fantasy was better to me than week one. So, I'm feeling pretty good. Got a couple of wins that I needed. So, just looking forward for more starting this Thursday in week 3.
All right. And no other than my boy, Jamie. Zach is out today. He's on travel. So we brought in Jamie to take a spot for the week. Jamie, what is going on?
Same old, man. Just looking forward to next week. I went probably 50-50 in my leagues this week, so can't complain. At least with like 25 leagues.
And Gator's already saying, "Look at this new guest. We're gonna have hey Gator. If he doesn't succeed in his audition, you're next."
Yeah, if I end up passing out in the middle of the show, I need you to hop on in, Gator.
All right, so let's just get into it. We're going to talk a little bit of news. We're going to talk Monday Night Football recap, and then we're going to get into our main part of the show. So first off, let's get into a little bit of news. So there wasn't a lot that's come up in the last day. First, I just want to bring up Mike Evans has been suspended for one game for his altercation versus the Saints and Lattimore, but he is appealing it this afternoon. That I don't believe his punt, if it has come out, if it has been reduced or not. I don't think it's gonna be. And on top of that, the Tampa Bay has also signed Cole Beasley to a 1-year deal. I think that is a depth piece. Jordan, what do you think about both of those real quick?
First, it was kind of surprising that Evans was the only person suspended. I mean, even though we all know Tom Brady kind of instigated it by getting in Lattimore's face. And, I understand Mike Evans wanted to stick up for his quarterback. But, yeah, I don't think even if he does, he's appealing, and I don't think he's gonna get it. So he's gonna miss that game. So with that being said, if Cole Beasley is added, since he's signed, I think it might be able to help them this week, as soon as this week. I mean, Julio, we don't know what his status is going to be. I think Godwin will be out again. So it's Russell Gage, Rashad Perriman, and maybe Beasley. I mean, I know Scotty Miller got a lot of work during the Saints game. So, it'll be something for Brady to work out. But I definitely think signing Beasley was just to add some depth to their receiving core.
Yeah. Jamie, what do you got to add, man?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Beasley's just a depth piece. I don't see him doing much. It's going to be all Russell Gage, some Scotty Miller sprinkled in. Maybe they get the tight end involved more. And then Fournette out of the backfield, I can see that.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the 49ers a little more later, but the only thing I want to add, we already know that Trey Lance is out for the year. But Terrion Davis-Price is also on the IR with a high ankle sprain. They did sign Marlon Mack to the big squad instead of just a practice squad. Jamie, do you have anything quick about that? Because I know we'll talk about it more later.
I'm not interested in Marlon Mack. Yeah. I'm staying away from him. But the high ankle sprain is going to keep him out for a while. I would just stick with Jeff Wilson.
Exactly.
And Mason, if you have to.
Hands down. So I got to put this, before we get into the next thing, I got to put this comment up purely because my boy Jamie. What is the deal with that logo? The Keebler elf at the 50-yard line?
All right. If you're on my Facebook, you already know how I feel about this.
Yes.
I'm embarrassed. Like they should have. It's something with these millennials nowadays. Like it makes me want to eat a cookie. Like
yep.
They at least should have put a dog or kept the helmet. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I said they should have done the dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. So we had a doubleheader on Monday night, if you can call it a doubleheader, because it seemed like there was only 1.5 games going on. after the third quarter of the Buffalo game, pretty much everyone, even Tannehill got pulled. Josh Allen got pulled. Buffalo won 41-7 in that game. Stephon Diggs went off for 12 catches, 3 touchdowns. I mean, when they pulled him, he had as many catches as the Tennessee Titans did as a team. And I think 25 more yards. Josh Allen went off. That defense was going crazy. Matt Milano had a great game. So, first off, Jordan, what is the takeaway that you have from the Buffalo 41-7 melee of a game?
One, obviously, the Bills are like legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I mean, Tennessee isn't one of the top 5 teams in the league or anything like that, but Buffalo has been so dominant the last couple of weeks to start the season. So, respect to them. I'm worried from a fantasy standpoint about this Tennessee offense. I was somebody who was really confident in Derrick Henry before the season, and I'm after these 2 games, I'm a little less confident. I mean, you could kind of throw last night out a little bit considering the team they were playing, and it got out of hand really quickly and stuff like that. I saw that comment. That's funny.
I agree.
But yeah, if they're gonna not be competitive in games like this moving forward, I know that's not really their thing. Tennessee prides itself on playing hard defense and being competitive in games. So hopefully we can expect them to be competitive the rest of the way. Because if they aren't, Derrick Henry, 13 carries, 25 yards, he scored a touchdown, so that kind of salvaged this day. But that's not what you're expecting for where you drafted him as. If this offense can't get it in gear and move the chains and be able to stay on the field, then Derrick Henry is not going to live up to his ADP or where you drafted him at in the summer.
Yeah, for sure. Jamie, why don't you just get to your takeaway, because we'll get back into the Tennessee Titans with mine.
For the Buffalo?
Yeah, your Buffalo takeaway.
Oh, man, Buffalo is unstoppable with the combination of that offense and defense. I can see Josh Allen ended up being the MVP this year, the way he's playing. And not only the MVP, but he's going to end up with the Super Bowl ring on his finger. Like, right now, everyone's buying Tua this week after the performance, but against the Bills next week, I can see a major disappointment in Tua. Yeah. Just like going against that elite Bills defense.
Yep, we'll be talking about that later too. Yep, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, Jordan, do you have anything to say about Josh Allen in general before we get into my take?
Josh Allen is a stud. I agree with Jamie in that I could see him winning the MVP. I think him and Mahomes will probably be battling that out come the end of the year. That's good news. That's news for you. Yep. That was just for you right there. But, and the way what he did last night without Gabe Davis, I thought, Tennessee would use all his coverages to try and stop Diggs, but obviously they didn't. Allen was finding them deep throws, good throw, intermediate throws. He had everything rolling. So, if he gets going like that consistently for the rest of the year, it's a lock to be a top quarterback in the MVP race.
Hands down. I completely agree with the MVP race. I predicted that he would get number 2 in the MVP race before the season started. And no, I did not say number 1 was going to be Mahomes.
Okay.
So you can't call me a homer. I actually said number 1 was going to be Justin Herbert.
Okay.
I only said that Mahomes. The reason Josh Allen, I don't need to say any more about Josh Allen and why he is one of the best in the league. The only reason I thought Mahomes was going to be number 3 was because the team was going to take a little bit of a step back. I thought Herbert and the Chargers could win the division, and I thought the Chiefs would spread the ball out and not have it he would win and do good, but just not have as a dominant performance as he would need to. So let's get into my take. And you brought it up a little bit, Jordan. I think Tennessee is dog doo-doo. I think Tennessee is actually what is worse than what is on the field at the 50-yard line in Cleveland. I said it at the beginning. I said it before the year started, and I got bombasted saying that Tennessee wasn't as good as they were going to be. And I thought Tennessee was probably the 3rd best team in that division right off the bat, partly because that defense isn't that great. you brought up Derrick Henry. What I want to say about Derrick Henry is a stud. But for Derrick Henry to succeed the way Derrick Henry has to succeed, Tannehill and them have to get in front of games score-wise to game script Henry into it.
Yep.
The other thing is Derrick Henry is only good when he has a head of steam, because once he gets head and he gets into that gap and gets into that second level of the defense, he blows people over. Buffalo's defense was getting through those holes and getting them before he could get that head of steam. I don't think that offensive line is very good. That offensive line is dumpster fire. That was my favorite year last year. I don't think this offense is very good overall. They don't have – I think getting rid of A.J. Brown might have been a giant mistake, Tennessee. Not saying Burks is bad or anything like that, but my main takeaway is Tennessee didn't show that the Giants game was a blip on the radar. Yes, I knew Buffalo – I thought Buffalo would cover the spread. I thought they would lose by more than 10, but 41-7? 41-7. Are you kidding me? So, Jamie, I know when we talked today, you wanted to talk about this just as much as I did.
Yeah.
So the floor is yours, sir.
I just want to say, like, that team's in a lot of trouble this year, starting 0-2. Like, they didn't do one good thing as a team last night. Like, couldn't get anything going on offense. Their defense was horrible. Like, this might have been the worst outing I've seen from the Titans in the Mike Vrabel era. For real, hands down, worst game possible. Like, and they're sitting at the bottom of a division that could be the worst division in football right now.
I'm telling you right now, Jacksonville Jaguars win.
I could see that, but I can see anyone winning this division with 7 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just that bad.
Yeah, it's bad. And, like, you know, it was promising because they came out on the first drive and they moved the ball, got a touchdown. Like, okay.
Yep.
Then after that was it. So how long do you guys think it'll take before Tannehill is on the bench for Malik Willis?
Not anytime soon.
I hope not, because I just lost Trey Lance. And he's my backup.
Anything. I don't think we saw – here, let me say this. I don't think we saw anything last night that showed that he should have been on the field. So I just don't see it. We'll see. I don't think it'll happen. I think this team's got to be the last place in the division for that to happen. I don't want to sit there and – I mean, they could still have a chance to pull something off, but it's just not the way they're looking. I think they just need to look inside themselves and figure something out. Vrabel, even though Vrabel is not going to let them just fall over and just go anywhere. So let's get into the next game. We had the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. This one a little bit differently than I personally thought. Philadelphia won the game 24-7. Kirk Cousins didn't show up in prime time again, just like he always doesn't. So, Jordan, what is your takeaway in this game? And I am starting to agree with you.
So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the Eagles offense and how it started with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. I said that back then that I needed to see consistency from Hurts throwing the ball. We knew he could run it. We knew he could score rushing touchdowns when they got in the red zone. And then even last night, he scored one from outside of the red zone. But last night, he showed me a little bit. He completed 84% of his passes. And it wasn't just a bunch of dink and dunk passes either. He threw for 333 yards, 10.7 yards per attempt. That was like second or third out of all QBs in week 2. So he was throwing it down the field. He spread out the targets. It wasn't just an A.J. Brown game. He got it to Devontae Smith because he badly needed a bounce-back game from week 1. So he got that for him. Dallas Goedert got his share of targets, and A.J. Brown got his as well. It was a good all-around game. You would like to see more passing touchdowns than the one that he had. But I think, it's baby steps. We gotta be happy with him completing a high percentage of passes first, getting other guys involved, and I think the touchdowns will come. He threw the interception, but I thought that was Gainwell's fault. It bounced off of Gainwell's hands into the defender's hands, so I don't really knock him for that. But yeah, all around good performance from him. He started off completing, I think, his first 10 or 11 passes, crisp. I was very impressed with him. If we can see that, I think he can reach the ceiling of fantasy that everybody says he has. When you compare that with the rushing prowess that he already has, he scored 2 rushing touchdowns. He had I think around 50, 60 yards rushing. With the passing yardage, I think he's taking those steps that we wanted to see from a quarterback.
Yeah, personally, I thought the same thing a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it. I know I said that I wasn't completely sold on him. I needed to see more of it too, because I think one of the things I said was if the Eagles don't see anything for sure, that he might not be the QB in the next couple of years when we were talking dynasty. Jamie, do you have any quick thoughts on Hurts and then just roll right into your comment, right into your take?
Yeah, Hurts, man. I wasn't sure what he was going to do this year, but he's looking really good. So I don't think they're going to go away from him anytime soon. But what I want to say is, what is that coaching staff doing with Kenneth Gainwell? I know he botched that catch that led to that interception, so that might have put him in the doghouse early last night. Mm-hmm. But still, in week 1, he had 2 carries, 1 reception, and then he didn't get much of the work until at the end of the game when it was already out of hand. I think he's the most talented running back on that roster. Like when we were in drafts, I was letting people draft Miles Sanders, and I was laughing, saying I'm going to get the more talented guy like 3-4 rounds later. And I'm not the only one that thought that. A lot of people were thinking that. So is he droppable now with that production that he's putting up, or do you hold him? I'm thinking you hold him on the end of your bench.
I definitely think you should hold him because Miles Sanders hasn't been the most durable guy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with the injuries.
Yes,
even if Scott's the one that gets hurt, then I can see more production.
Do you really want my answer, Jamie?
Yeah, I do.
You hold him because he went to Memphis. I don't know why. But jokes aside, yes, I don't think you get rid of him yet. I think you have to keep anyone in that backfield yet, except Boston Scott, because unless you're in a deep league, he's probably not on your team. But you do have to keep Miles Sanders, and you do have to keep Gainwell. See what happens. For all we know, you never know. Honestly, part of the reason about the Gainwell and the Gainwell and Sanders thing that drives me nuts is, and I know you'll understand because I know, Jamie, you've heard one of our friends say this on another podcast. Nick Sirianni is what drives me nuts.
Doesn't know how to use them right.
I don't think he is a head coach. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. He could be not every coach is meant to be a head coach. Before I give my take, I just want to say Gator J says Hurts is proving he's a QB1. Yep. And he also says first QB since Vic to have 300 yards passing and 2 rushing touchdowns. And then, of course, I have to bring this up. Even though he's a Raiders fan. Yo, Gerson, are you over that loss yet, or are you okay? I have to check up on you. So are you okay, or I have to ask. Okay, so I am also going to be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, but in a different sense. I'm going away from fantasy, and I'm going straight to their aspirations of being the number 1. Obviously, I think they could win the NFC least. And on top of that, I think they can be a contender in the NFC overall, but this is part of the reason. Darius Slay shut down Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was a no-show. Did he even get off the plane? But here when he was being guarded by Darius Slay via PFF, 6 targets, 1 catch allowed, 2 interceptions, 0.0 passer rating allowed. So the reason I completely bring this up is I wasn't sold on the Philadelphia Eagles defense going into this year because that has been a soft spot for this team in the past. They go out, they already had Slay. They go out and draft Nakobe Dean, who hasn't done much lately or yet, but throughout the year, I expect him to do something. You go get Jordan Davis. What is going on, Kyle? You go get Jordan Davis, but they also signed James Bradbury to go on the opposite side of Darius Slay. the reason I wanted to bring this up is if you have Darius Slay who can go and shadow and shut down any team's or limit any team's number one wideout. He just did it to Jefferson. You got teams in that division in that conference that have Super Bowl aspirations. You got Mike Evans, you got Cooper Kupp, I'll throw your team out there. You got Lazard, just because if it goes into the playoffs, Lazard's going to have to show up for that team. That's the only reason I bring that up.
Yeah.
I know he's not an elite player.
He should not be mentioned in the same.
I know
as those guys.
But he's going to have to shut those guys down. Yeah. Gator says that he should have had 4 interceptions last night, and he's probably right. If Slay continues this and that James Bradbury continues it and that defense evolves and the Eagles keep moving on offense, my takeaway is this team could be primed to make a run for the big dance that we were not expecting.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Jordan, what do you think?
I think you're right. I think they're pretty much in the driver's seat to win the NFC East right now. I mean, we don't know how long Dak is going to be out. And honestly, even if Dak was 100% healthy right now, I probably would still take the Eagles with the way that defense is playing. Darius Slay deserves some credit for the way he played Jefferson last night, but we got to get on Kirk Cousins and some of these throws that he was just throwing up there, man. I know the pressure was getting to him and stuff, but like that last interception, Jefferson didn't have a chance to make a play on that.
No, the last one was the one in the end zone. He shouldn't have thrown that.
He was just throwing it up, like not looking at almost, man. He was throwing some no looks. It was terrible. But yeah, the Eagles defense, they were on Cousins the whole night. Dalvin Cook didn't do anything. So, they shut down the Vikings offense overall. If they can do that and Hurts continues to progress like we talked about, they definitely have a shot at taking home the NFC crown.
Yeah. Jamie, what do you got on that one?
I mean, just look at their schedule going forward. And it's a lock that they're taking that. That's all I got to say. Just look at the schedule.
Yeah, schedule's not the schedule is kind of weak going into, I think, up to like week 8 or 9, I think, and then it gets a little harder, but then it gets easier.
Easy again. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're done with Monday Night Football. We all know we've won some matchups. We've all lost some matchups. Jordan mentioned a couple before the show. Jamie and me have been talking since Sunday morning about some of our matchups. So let's get into what we call our start or sit regret of the week. Jordan, take it away.
So I complained about having Allen Robinson last week, and I was mad that I started him. So I benched him this week, and I started Chase Edmonds instead in the flex spot. And you guys can imagine how that went for me. In a positive game script for Edmonds, Raheem Mostert saw more work than him, which was very, very, very frustrating to me. Like, it felt like I didn't see Edmonds on the field almost the entire first half. It was troubling. And he got the long run, which got him up to 5 fantasy points for the week. So obviously Robinson finished with 15, and that was disappointing. So I had to live with that. Just my luck, Allen Robinson. I'll play him next week. He won't do anything. But another mistake I made was just starting Paris Campbell. Didn't matter who was the other options. I just should have never started Paris Campbell. That was a mistake on my part. I got carried away. I drank the Kool-Aid because Michael Pittman was out. I should have never did that. It was terrible. He didn't do anything. Ashton Doolin got a lot of work. I thought Nyheim Hines would get more catches than he actually did. Matt Ryan sucked. It was just a bad decision overall. The Colts offense in general was terrible and putrid. So without Pittman or Jonathan Taylor, I don't really want to invest much into the Colts offense after last week.
All right, so let me say something because me and Jamie,
Chase Edmonds.
Let's just say me and Jamie are president and vice president of the Chase Edmonds fan club.
Yeah.
So we understand the thought process and the pain behind that because we are not happy about that either. I get your sentiment on the Allen Robinson. I happened to go against a team that had Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp, and I was like, what the heck is this guy doing? And then, yeah, that bit me in the tail. But I would have played Allen Robinson, but I understand why not completely. I get your thought process behind it. I understand about Paris Campbell too, but there's another story. Jamie, do you have anything quick to say about Chase or anything, or do you just want to roll into yours?
Well, I'll just roll into mine. I also drank the Kool-Aid. I'm the Paris Campbell. I'm in this very, very competitive dynasty league where I think my roster can win it all this year. But Michael Pittman went down, so I already had Paris Campbell on my bench. So I ended up putting him in over Olave, Dameon Pierce, Akers, who all scored 8 points, and I lost by 4.
Oh,
4 points.
Yeah.
If I put anyone on my bench, like I even had Eno Benjamin, which obviously I wouldn't have started him, but he would have got me the win.
He would have won it for you.
Yep. So that one hurt. There was another league where I started Ashton Doolin over Curtis Samuel, but there was only a 10-point difference, and I lost by, I think, 15, 20, so it wouldn't have made a difference.
But you also think Ashton Doolin is like creme de la creme.
Yep, name my kid after him.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't name him after him. Like so I use baby name. I don't look at baby name books. So when I had my kid, I looked at the rookie rankings coming out. So me and my girl, like she was spitting names, and I'm like, well, that's not on my list. But she said Ashton. I'm like, oh, there you go, Ashton Doolin.
Wow.
so I came up with Ashton.
So Yeti's, and I agree. I understand what Yeti's saying on this one. Yeti says, I was Edmonds here. The thing, huge script for Edmonds. It just wasn't there for him. If I told you Miami was down 28 and scored 42 and won, you would guess Edmonds had at least 16 PPR points. Exactly.
Yes.
That is 100% Yeti. Let's see. We'll put this one up too. Yeti says, I take my L on Edmonds, but the script wasn't there. Yep, there goes that one. I should have shown up first. And then Gator says, Jordan, start me over Campbell. I mean, sheesh. Okay, so I get the whole Paris Campbell situation. I started him in a league. I got 0 from him and 0 from Cleveland and won by 0.9 because of Stephon Diggs going off. So I want to preface my start of or sit of the week by saying I know I'm in a bunch of leagues, but I had 4 matchups that were less than a point either way this week.
Wow.
So here's the one that I got that I am hurting inside. I made a trade because I had Dak. I didn't have a starting quarterback on my bench. So I made a trade for Chase Edmonds and Marcus Mariota.
Oh, yeah.
You know about this. You know about the trade, Jamie.
Yep.
I made Chase Edmonds and Marcus Mariota was who I got. That same week, because I tried to get Cooper Rush on the waiver wire. Someone blocked me with Fab, knowing that I needed Cooper Rush. Someone blocked me. So I got Joe Flacco. So Joe Flacco, I thought was only going to start one game. We all thought, so that's why I made the trade for Mariota. Because Flacco, we know is probably not going to be long-term because you have Zach Wilson. And then they go against a defense that is decent in Cleveland. I thought so, Jamie.
Yeah, so did I.
So I started Marcus Mariota, Jordan, not thinking that I should have started Flacco over Mariota. You ready for it? You ready for it, Jordan?
What is it?
I lost by 0.4.
Oh,
that hurts.
Oh.
So all I'm saying is I started Mariota thinking that, all he needed was literally, another 5 yards rushing and another pass to freaking London or target Kyle Pitts, for gosh sakes. I'm not even a Kyle Pitts. I'm not a Kyle Pitts fan, but can you please target the mofo?
That sounds like a great idea.
And yes, Gator, Joe Fluco, who I called him for years. I can't call him Joe. I called him Joe Fluco last week. I can't call him Fluco this week because he went back to being Joe Flacco.
You know, Mariota would have won you the matchup if he just, I don't know, wouldn't have threw one of those horrible interceptions also.
Yep. Okay, so I got to put this up from Kyle before I keep going a little bit. I lost an SFB because I started MVS over David Montgomery. I lost by 3.3. D. Montgomery outscored MVS by 15.3. Yeah, I don't want to say anything about my SFB this week.
Real quick,
says,
I'm 2-0. I'm 2-0 in my first ever Scott Fishbowl.
I will take you off the screen. Do either one of you have anything to say about the Mariota over Flacco play?
Honestly, I would have done the same thing. I thought Cleveland would have wrecked shop on the Jets' offense, but they didn't, obviously. So I would have made that call as well.
Yeah, same here. I would have done the same thing.
And here's Yeti helping me out because he's making me feel a little bit better. What if I told you Atlanta had 26 and 27 points weeks 1 and 2, and Pitts had nothing to do with it? Yeah, I completely. Kyle says, I had 2 in 2 leagues. I lost both of them. Thanks, Gator J. So I think we're pretty good with the start, sit, regret of the week, right, boys?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the next thing. So let our random of the week. So we're going to do a random topic of our own choice, looking into either something this week or looking into next week. Jordan, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but dig into more of the Atlanta situation.
So, you know, we like the Marcus Mariota conversation was kind of a good segue to get into what I want to talk about. Kyle Pitts first, and then, you know, Drake London as well. Drake London has become the unquestioned number one target for Mariota in Atlanta. I mean, you know, when you look at the game that he had Sunday, I mean, he had 12 targets in week 2. He finished with a touchdown, and Kyle Pitts had 2 targets. It was just tough. It was tough to watch. I have Kyle Pitts in several leagues. You know, he had 3 targets total. 2 of them were catchable targets, and 1 of them was a red zone target. So that's what you want to see. But it's just, I don't know if they need to scheme up new ways to try to get him the ball, or if Mariota just isn't looking his way, or what the case may be. But Drake London has 160 yards and a touchdown on 19 total targets in the first 2 games. He's a rookie. Kyle Pitts has been here for a year. I thought last year they would have figured out ways to get him the ball. He had a better quarterback. He still didn't get the ball. He had 1 touchdown. You have Marcus Mariota in an offense that was normally geared towards getting the tight end the ball. In Tennessee, Mariota was able to connect with Delaney Walker a lot. They had good chemistry. I thought, you know, with Arthur Smith there as well in Tennessee, I thought they could find Kyle Pitts is much more versatile than Delaney Walker. They could put him in a lot of different positions to get the ball. It's just frustrating when you keep hearing how much talent a guy has, but he doesn't get the ball. It's just like, I don't know what we need to do. Do we need to start a campaign? Do we need to go riot? I don't know, because, you know, I think Drake London is a good player, but the discrepancy in targets and production between him and Kyle Pitts shouldn't be this wide. Even Cordero Patterson isn't getting the ball. Like they're putting the ball in the hands of one of their best playmakers, but they have 2 other playmakers that they aren't finding ways to get the ball to them. I don't know if that's a Mariota problem or if that's a coaching problem, but it needs to be fixed soon. And my rant is over on Kyle Pitts.
All right, so I am going to go first before I let Jamie go, because when I saw that you wanted to talk about this, I did a little bit of digging, and I will preface this by saying I am not a Kyle Pitts guy. It's not that I don't care for him, but I wasn't one of those guys pounding the drum for Kyle Pitts. However, this is freaking ridiculous. I am sorry. I'm not even a Kyle Pitts guy, and I'm saying this is ridiculous. In week 1, 84% of snaps. In week 2, 93% of snaps. Okay. And then you go to targets. He literally, like you said, he had 3 targets in week 2, 7 in week 1, where Drake London had 7 in week 1, tied with Kyle, but then 12 in week 2. I'm okay with Drake London getting his targets. But when you have Kyle Pitts getting 10 targets in 2 games, you know why this is happening? You want to know why this is happening, Jordan? I'll tell you why, in my opinion. Because Arthur Smith is a moron. Was he? I mean, think about it. How successful was he as an offense? I mean, if he didn't have Derrick Henry in freaking Tennessee, I don't think he would have been that. I mean, yeah, you have to have talent to succeed, but it wasn't his play calling. I mean, he wasn't known as this mastermind play caller. No. I think Arthur Smith is the issue, and that's my problem. Will I maybe try to buy Pitts low? I might. I actually might. But I don't. I think Arthur Smith is the issue. Is Drake London the real deal? He's kind of proven that he's that big body guy, that wide receiver that can go up in the end zone, and that's what we thought Pitts would be. But they go out and drafted one that could do the same thing. That's pretty much it for me. Is I think it's Arthur Smith, because when you have that, and that's why I want to buy him low, is because of those snap counts. To me, it has to eventually happen. And if it doesn't happen because of Mariota, if Mariota is singling out London, I get it. But you can also scheme things to go to Pitts. That's where I have a problem with it. Jamie, go ahead.
I agree. Arthur Smith's problem. And you have the highest ever tight end drafted in the NFL draft, and you're not using them properly. It's got to be his fault.
Yeah. Why do you draft him?
Yeah, exactly.
And that
all I can do is shake my head, man. I don't know.
Go ahead, Jordan.
That kind of brings me to what you were saying, though. So if we know Arthur Smith is the problem, unless they fire him, why would you want to buy low on Kyle Pitts at this point? Because do you see it changing if Arthur Smith is still there?
I'm just buying low. If I'm buying low, I'm buying low on the talent and just hoping something turns around.
But how many times? Because I heard it a lot last year too. You buy low on the amount of time he's on the field, the snaps. You know, he was getting targets, but he finished with 1 touchdown, and it was just a disappointment last year.
But don't get me wrong. It's got to be. Don't get me wrong. It's got to be with an owner that's like giving up.
Yeah, that might be me in a week.
Why am I not in your league? All right. So Jamie says, Kyle says, sounds like Arthur Smith isn't reading or watching the cheat sheet. Yes, he needs to be listening to us. Actually, he'd probably hate me. So
maybe Arthur Blank should be watching it, because maybe Arthur Smith wouldn't have a job the next day.
So Yeti says Kyle Pitts should never not have 10 targets in that offense. Let's be real. Hey, I agree.
Like 10 targets a game.
Yeah, right. That's what he's at. He should never have. He should never have lower than 10 targets a game. So Jamie, what the hell do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Dynasty Trey Lance. Like if you're in a position right now where you're not going to win, go out and buy him for next year if you need him, especially in Superflex. His injury right now, it's a 4 to 6 month healing time on that injury. So he's going to come in next year. He's going to be fully healthy. If you remember when Dak had that same injury, he came back and he switched up his playing style a little bit to become more of a pocket presence passer.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So if he did it not because he couldn't run, he did it to play safe to avoid another injury. So I'm hoping Lance does the same thing. He changes up his playing style a little bit, becomes more of the pocket presence, gets more throwing yards on the field, and only runs when he has to, just to stay healthy.
Yeah.
But in Dynasty, I think he's going to be a great buy low candidate. Like, look at the teams that have him, especially if they're a contender. Just buy him off the team.
I totally understand that. Jordan, what do you think?
I agree 100%, man. I think He's one of those guys right now because I've seen so little of him where I'm kind of in the boat where I was with Hurts. It's just, I want to see him kind of progress as a passer. Obviously, him being hurt, he doesn't have that opportunity. But with the upside that he possesses, it doesn't hurt to buy low. I'm assuming people would almost want to give him away if they're competing. Some people may be upset with what happened with them or whatever. So you could probably find a couple of people to get him for cheap, and then you have him next year ready to go. Hopefully, I believe, once he comes back, it's his job to have once again, unless the 49ers win the Super Bowl. Now, if they win the Super Bowl, then maybe. But I don't see them winning it. So, you can have a young starting quarterback with a lot of upside going into next year. I like that call.
Okay, so Gator J asked, what is the value of Lance right now in Dynasty? Jamie, what would you give up for him?
Depends if it's super flex or not. But
SF.
I mean, I would try to give up at least a second. Okay. See if I can get that done. Like, I wouldn't want to give up first, especially next year.
Yeah.
With the draft class coming out.
So the reason I brought this up, I don't know if I told you or not. I got asked, I did. I brought it up earlier. Trey Lance and Isaiah Likely for my 23 first. That's a no for me.
Nope.
I am not competing more than likely unless I pull something out of my rear end soon. I'm 0-2, and it's not a great team. But other than that, I agree. So that's why I brought that up. Let's see, what was the other one?
I mean, I'd probably give up a second and a third just to get them.
I would do that. But not a first, especially in this class. Jimmy G wins the chip and then goes to Tampa to win another. Oh, no. Gator, come on, man.
You're fired.
No. Jeff, if you're listening, Gator's off the team. Just joking, Gator. So, yeah, all I need to say about Trey Lance is I would buy low if someone's willing to. If someone like a contender is just wanting to get rid of him, or because if someone's in a position that's rebuilding, they're probably not going to sell him because they can use him in the future because they're not going to win now. But if it was someone that needs somebody, say he was their number two QB, and then you might be able to give him a QB, and you're not in a position to win. You could give up a lower end QB and a lower pick and maybe pick him up.
Yeah.
I know, Kyle. I was just joking, Kyle. I mean, Kyle, I got to deal with you as a Packer fan. Now I got Jordan as a Packer fan. So, yeah, Gator, you're not kicked out. I was joking. Okay, so to get to my topic, I'm actually going to one of the games of the week for this week. My game of the week, probably the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Indianapolis Colts. Nope, I'm joking. That is not going to be my game of the week. Actually, my game of the week is the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. I want to see what – I'm sick of both sides of the argument. The whole – Jamie, I know you had a trade in one of your leagues that has to go around this argument. The whole – Tua's overrated, and then you have the people, we're seeing the real Tua. I just hate that this is all we hear we hear so much Tua, so polarizing topic on Twitter. I want to see what he can do against a great D. I want to see what that team can do with Mike McDaniel against a great team. Buffalo and Miami, they are probably the two best teams in that division. Yeti, yes, that is a good game too. I will not deny that. I will love that Vikings Detroit game is going to be a good one. But the reason I want to bring this up is I looked at a couple stats, defensive stats, and I know Miami went up against New England at the beginning of the season, and they went up against Baltimore. I know it's a little bit different because it's only 2 weeks. We only have stats for 2 games. They have Lamar and all that. So I am putting a little bit of preface in my statement by saying that, but I don't think we can disregard what is happening still with the statistics. One person that I think is going to do good in this game, and I'm expecting a bounce back, and he is not doing good so far, is ranked in the 20th as tight ends, and that is Dawson Knox. To me, this is a Dawson Knox start game. To me, you start Dawson Knox in this game. Miami is, I know they went up against Mark Andrews, but they are the second worst team against tight ends in the league so far. Against quarterbacks in general, they are the third worst. I know they went against Lamar, but what is Lamar good at? Lamar is good at the run and breaking out of the pocket. And now you're going against Josh Allen? I mean, I just think that can be the case with the defense of Miami could be in trouble, which will make Tua be the type of quarterback that he was this week in the sense of having to throw the ball and be the one to take this team to victory. He's got Waddle. He's got Hill. Yes, I will bring up Mike Gesicki. They still don't have Jarvarius White. They still are a little weak in the DBs compared to what they could be on the corners. They do have Poirier. They do have Hyde. They're getting a little bit older, but they still are really good. Buffalo's defense, on the other hand, is number 1 against QBs, is number 4 against running backs overall. So Buffalo's going to be coming at them completely. Buffalo's number 3 against they're in the middle of the pack against wide receivers. So to me, this game is going to be critical on Tua to win this game and that defense to stop them from winning the game. The one thing I will say about the Detroit-Minnesota game, it's a 7-point spread right now from what I saw earlier, and I think that game is going to be close. I think that's going to go down to the wire. Jordan, what do you think about the Miami-Buffalo situation?
So yeah, I definitely think it's when you look at those numbers for Buffalo's defense, them being middle of the pack against receivers, I think Cooper Kupp is the only reason why their numbers are as bad as they are, because otherwise they shut down pretty much every other receiver the last couple of weeks.
Exactly.
So the Buffalo pressure, I think, is what's going to be key. If Tua can handle that pressure, if the offensive line can hold up, give them some time to get some of those plays down the field, and they may just go to a quick game throughout. They've been using Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and the short area targets, just like some extended handoff type of plays, a lot of wide receiver screens, probably some quick slants. They're gonna have to do that in order to keep Von Miller and Russo and all those guys off of the Buffalo defensive line from getting on them. I think this is going to be a good litmus test for Miami. Buffalo and Miami are definitely the 2 best teams in the division. I think New England has taken a step down from last season. So these are the guys battling it out. I thought Miami's secondary was better than I thought going into the season they would be better than they've played so far. They had a pretty easy week 1 matchup going against New England and that dumpster fire on offense. But when they had to face some guys who were clicking, Rashad Bateman on that slant route made Xavier Howard look slow. So just imagine what Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis could do to that secondary. They're going to have to get on Josh Allen pressure-wise. If they don't, he's going to pick them apart. I don't expect Miami to win this game. I expect Buffalo's defense to shine and put Josh Allen in good positions with the field. I think Buffalo could win by at least a score.
What do you got, Jamie?
Well, you got Tua, the leading passer in the league right now, against Buffalo, one of the best against quarterbacks. So what I'm going to say, give the ball to Chase Edmonds 50 times every play.
Yes.
Just give it to Chase Edmonds. 50 touches.
Yeah, okay. 49 of those need to be receptions because I don't want to see one of the ball.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like Chase Edmonds is good in that passing game. Just throw him the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I completely 100% agree with that statement. Do I think it's going to happen?
Nope.
No. Do I want it to happen?
Yep.
All right. So before we get into the next segment of the show, please go like, subscribe, and comment on our Going for Two Live There's our show. There's a Monday show, 2-point conversion. Jeff and Ryan have their Wednesday show. There's shows almost every night of the week now. There's a Thursday pregame show. There's a Friday night show. There's Saturday Dynasty show. There's something for everyone and every day of the week. And also, we got to pay some bills. So, No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. Play in pick'em style contests versus other people for the shot at winning over $150,000. Yes, $150K. Download the app, use our promo code, capital letters GF2, and get a deposit match up to $25. Choose a contest, select your player props, earn your points for correct picks, and climb that leaderboard for your shot to win the big money every day. You can also test your skills versus the house and go for 20x your entry if you hit all your picks. Bet on up to 5 player props, over-unders, or individual player matchups across every single major sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, NASCAR, and even MMA for people like me and you, Jamie. Again, our promo code is GF2. Use it at nohouseadvantage.com or download the app on the App Store to get your first deposit match up to $25. Make sure to check out No House Advantage today and experience daily fantasy sports redefined, because it's not just how you play, but where you play. All right. So now, after that, doing all those little things we got to do to keep the bosses happy, it is time to look forward to week 3, because what is tonight? It is waiver wire night for all us in all our leagues. So, Jordan, who are you looking at picking up? I know there's been some injuries, and which means backups. Sometimes it's backups, sometimes it's not. Is it a backup for you?
Yeah, definitely a backup. And then, that's the crazy thing with waivers. You don't even know the extent of some of these guys' injuries most of the time until Wednesday. So It's tough. You got to kind of go out on a limb and just be cautious and, just in case. So I'm going to say Darrell Williams is somebody that people need to go and pick up as a speculative ad just in case James Conner misses time. I know it's not going to be a long absence. I don't expect it to be, 4 to 6 weeks or anything like that. But even if he misses a week or two, you can pick him up. He played 40 snaps compared to 37 from Eno Benjamin last week after Conner went out. He got the goal line work. He scored the touchdown. He had 14 fantasy points in just that time for when Conner went out. So, more than likely Arizona is going to be behind in this game against the Rams coming up in week 3. So they're going to be throwing it. Kyler has become one of the kings of garbage time points in fantasy, even though they did win last week. But, he finds a way to salvage his day for him and others. So, you can expect him, and Benjamin as well could be a good pickup if someone already has Darrell Williams. Put in a claim for both of them, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be close to a 50-50 split. I think both of those guys will get enough work to provide flex value if Conner does miss some time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an Eno guy, but I think right now the way they're running it, if it's going to continue from what we saw against the Raiders, I think Darrell is the ad, even though I want to say Eno. If I'm putting a waiver in, I'm going Eno number 2 after Darrell.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't really have much to say, because I do think that Conner could try to play, but I think it's one of those positions, like you said, it's a speculative ad, but at the same time, it's one of those ones that Conner could come in for a series and then have to come out, and they're playing the Rams, so they're not going to be able to just use a guy and let him be injured. They need to win this game. Jamie, what do you have to say about James Conner before you jump into yours?
Well, I think Conner's going to play, but if you were going to pick someone up, like you said, Williams is probably the guy.
Yeah.
If you're in any leagues with me and you're looking for Eno Benjamin on the waiver, you're not going to find him. He's already on my team. I'm a huge Eno Benjamin fan. Like I like the youth and like pass catching ability he's got. But yeah, I mean, I still think Conner's going to play, so it could just be a waste of a pick.
Yeah, it could be, and that's the thing, man. Like, one thing about Conner though, he's not one of those guys where if he decides to play hurt, that he might not make it through. So
that's the only reason I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Jamie, what's yours, buddy? I know yours is another injury.
Yeah, I want to touch back on that Lance injury. So I know a lot of people had him as a quarterback one, and this is for single quarterback leagues, for redrafts. Like, what do you do if you lost Lance? You need to pick up a backup. So do you get Jimmy G, or do you go someone like Jared Goff? Like, I'm going to leave Jimmy G on the waiver, and I'm going to go someone with Goff just because of the weapons he has with St. Brown, DJ Chark, Hawkinson, Swift, and when Jameson Williams comes back. And then if you look at the next two matchups, it's Minnesota and Seattle the next 2 weeks with Jared Goff. So with Jimmy G, when Lance went out, he only had 154 yards, one passing touchdown, and he had that short rushing touchdown, which isn't bad, but that's his ceiling. It's not going to get much higher than that. So most likely you're going to be streaming anyway. So go pick up the guy that has the matchups the next 2 weeks, and that's in Jared Goff.
Absolutely.
Jordan, what do you think?
I'm with you on that. I would have a harder time making the golf decision if Carson Wentz was on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I looked at a bunch of mine. He wasn't there. That's why I left him off. But definitely Wentz.
Yeah,
like pick up Wentz and Goff. Like look at the comment from Kyle. Like
because
pick up both of them.
When you see Jimmy G, we already know what he can do. He had George Kittle was healthy for him, and he didn't put up the numbers that you would want. So, Jared Goff has the matchups. He's shown that he can put up big numbers, even if they get down by a lot of points. In week 1 they were getting killed by Philadelphia. He stormed back. He provided a huge boost to fantasy. I mean, if anybody played him, probably more in 2 quarterback leagues, but he provided good value. So definitely would go Goff over Jimmy G. He doesn't have any more upside. I don't think he's shown us what he can do from a fantasy standpoint, and it's barely get you between 18 and 20 fantasy points. Goff could get you more than that.
Yeah, he ended up last year as quarterback 17, Jimmy G. Mm-hmm. So I'm not impressed. It's not going to win me my league.
No.
Like Goff, he could have a top 10 week, 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you both on getting Wentz. I would go Wentz. I would go then Goff. Jimmy G, I get, but like you said, the weapons around and the way they're going to be playing, Frisco is going to be more subdued. They're going to be more controlled. That's just the way Shanahan plays.
Slower paced.
And Niners have slower pace. Niners have a decent D. Besides Aiden Hutchinson, Detroit's defense is not that great right now. They're going to be in high-scoring games, even if it's close games. They're still going to be high-scoring. They're still going to be slinging the ball around the field, just like Wentz. Wentz is going to have to be slinging that ball down the field at the end of games and stuff like that. So I do agree with you that it's Wentz or Goff over Jimmy G to replace Lance. And if you do have Lance that's injured, I'm sorry because that sucks. Because I feel bad for you. No jokes aside. Kyle says, I actually played Goff over Tannehill in the league. Boy, I am glad you made that call too, Kyle. Because Tannehill sucked.
So speaking of Tannehill, real quick, yes. I'm in a dynasty league where I have Dak and Lance. And Tannehill's my number 3. So I have to play Tannehill, and I ended up picking up Cooper Rush. So
yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, you're just, and it's super flex. So you're in a situation that you're not going to. A lot of those guys that we're calling backups aren't going to be
the good
available.
News. The good news for Tannehill is he isn't playing Buffalo every week, so you can expect better days for him.
Yeah, I don't want to put Paris Campbell on my super flex.
No.
Hey.
No, Paris Campbell is going to be on my waiver wire.
In that matchup that I lost by 0.4, the guy I went against didn't have another quarterback to put in his super flex. He put freaking Tyreek Hill. I was so not happy. So for my waiver wire ad, if this guy is on your waiver wires, you might be playing super casual leagues. But he is available. He is only rostered in 21% of Yahoo and 28% of ESPN. Garrett Wilson needs to be on your roster. I don't care what. I mean, I know Elijah Moore's there. I know he's a rookie. Garrett Wilson needs to be on your roster. He had 8 targets in week 1, 14 targets in week 2. His game log was, where's it at? I just had it up. Stupid computer. Okay, 4 for 52 in week 1, but 8 for 102 and 2 touchdowns against Jamie's Cleveland Browns. Elijah Moore had 3 for 41 in week 2 and 5 for 49 in week 1. The reason I bring Elijah Moore into this is we don't know when Zach Wilson's exactly going to come back. And as long as Joe Flacco is the QB, Garrett Wilson is the wide receiver that you want in your lineup. He is targeting Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is proving to Robert Salah in that offense that he is the guy. Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson are similar wide receivers in a sense. And if Garrett Wilson continues this, he's going to steal that number 1 spot from Moore because we don't know what this passing offense is really going to be like with Zach Wilson anyway. And we already know how Jamie's Ohio State wide receivers do in the NFL, and most of them succeed. So other than that, I have one more person I want to bring up, but just as a quick ad. But Jamie, what do you think about Garrett Wilson first before I mention someone real quick?
First of all, he's available in 21% of your leagues in Yahoo.
Yeah. No, he's only owned in 21%.
Okay, so I need to start playing on Yahoo leagues more because that's ridiculous. I looked in every single one of my leagues, and there's no Garrett Wilson on the waiver wire.
Yeah. He was even available in my work league. I put in a waiver wire ad for.
But yeah, we were actually watching the game live together, and when Garrett Wilson scored that first touchdown against the Browns, I was actually excited because I'm a Garrett Wilson fan.
You were.
Yeah, like that was his first touchdown in the NFL. Props to him. He's going to be a beast.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan, do you have any thoughts before I give my second one real quick?
It's just crazy that he's available in that many leagues. But I'm not sure what happens when Wilson is healthy enough to play. Because before the season, they were hyping up Joe Flacco's connection with Elijah Moore in the one game that they played together last year and how much Moore was productive. I thought that would translate. Obviously, Garrett Wilson has proved to be a top-tier talent. He did it in college. Obviously, they invested the draft capital in him as well. So he's showing it on the field. I hope he keeps it up. I just don't know what happens when Zach Wilson is healthy. But he definitely should be added immediately if he's available in the league.
Yeah, even Gator J says 60% in sleeper. Yeah, I know. But, 21% as of last night in Yahoo. The other one I want to bring up real quick, we don't need to go around the horn. I just want to bring it up because of injury. Because I mentioned TDP from the 49ers being put on the IR, Jordan Mason could be another ad for deeper rosters because you brought up Marlon Mack. You do have Jeff Wilson Jr., but other than Jeff Wilson Jr., they don't have anyone right now besides Jordan Mason. That's why they're bringing Marlon Mack in. Are they going to use Juszczyk a little bit more? Yes, but Jordan Mason could be a deeper roster pickup. And let's see what our buddy Kyle has to say. The coaching staff is saying they won't play Zach until he is 110%. So if he is 100% healthy, he still has to get 10% better as a passer before getting back on the field. They did say 110%. That's the funny part.
So then that means we might not see Zach Wilson on the field this season.
Nope.
That's good news for Garrett Wilson, then.
He's probably trying to find a new girlfriend. Who knows?
Yeah, somebody's mom.
So before we get out, I know we forgot to do it last week, Jordan. This is on me, but I want to bring it up partly because Jamie's here. We're picking the Thursday night game. So, Jordan, who are you picking between Cleveland and Pitt?
Ooh, This is disgusting. This is going to be two okay offenses at best, but I'm going with Cleveland. I'm going
Thanks,
with
man.
Cleveland. No, Nick Chubb. I trust Nick Chubb. Brissett and Amari Cooper got it going last week. Without T.J. Watt, I think the Browns have a better defense than Pittsburgh. So I think all signs point to them getting a win. And they're first of all, they're going to be pissed after what happened to them last week. So they're going to be ready to go on Thursday. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, those guys. So I'm picking Cleveland now in a close game.
All right, Jamie, before you give your pick, I want you to be unbiased.
Unbiased? Yeah. No, I'm always unbiased. No, I'm definitely going Cleveland here. Pittsburgh doesn't have the offense. Najee's banged up. I mean, what are they're going to throw the Fairmouth 50 times? Like, I don't think so.
I need it.
Oh, yeah. I just don't see it happening. I think Njoku is actually getting a little bit more involved lately. Got a few more extra targets than week one. He got one target week one. I think he got 5 last week.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, Harrison Bryant's also getting 4 or 5 targets.
Yeah.
So they are using the tight end a lot. So just splitting them up. I had high hopes for Njoku coming into the season, and I'm just hoping he gets going. But I can see Cleveland wins, let's say 20 to 10.
Okay, the over-under is only 38.
Yeah, I take the under on that.
That's low.
Yeah.
Especially playing on a Thursday night.
Yeah, it's going to be
short
sloppy,
week.
a lot of 3 and outs. It's going to be – sometimes it's going to be hard to watch. I mean, obviously not for Jamie, but, for us not as invested people, it'll be kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh's got Mitch Trubisky. They got Freiermuth. They got Najee. I know Najee's banged up, but they have Najee. They got Pickens, who I like. They got Deontay. I'm not going to mention Claypool because Claypool can just go sit on the sidelines because he'll drop as many as he actually catches, or he'll do a TikTok and get a 15-yard penalty. Jamie already knows how I feel about David Njoku. I love Njoku. I like Kareem Hunt. I love Nick Chubb. I'm not an Amari guy. Brissett is not a great quarterback. He's not even a good quarterback. He can sometimes barely hit a barn. I saw on one show that he was actually telling reporters that he didn't realize that Amari Cooper can get so wide open. I mean, when you have a quarterback saying that, you obviously didn't watch film, or you just didn't realize how good you have it. So, and I do agree that with Jordan about without T.J. Watt, Cleveland's defense is better. However, I'm picking Cleveland.
Oh, I thought
there we go.
I had to do it.
You had me going.
I was trying to go around. It's a 4.5-point spread. It's a 38-point under. It's going to be a sloppy game. I mean, for gosh sakes, the Keebler elf is going to be guarding the 50-yard line. And the only reason I make the joke about that, Jamie, is I wouldn't doubt if we get to the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, and no one's gotten past the 50. It's punt, and then we're at 0-0 going into the second quarter.
Yeah, why do you think I picked up Cleveland's punter in all 22 league?
Yeah, you did. All right, so that was our show tonight. It was a good one. It got a little out of whack for a little bit, but we just like having a good time, and we hope you guys like having a good time. Everyone in the chat, from Gator to Kyle to Yeti to Gerson who showed up, we appreciate all your support. Go like, subscribe. They're going for 2 live network. No, we're not picking scores.
No. A little.
Jamie already said 20 to 10. That's your
20
score.
10.
So, Jamie, I'm throwing it to you for your outro. Plug anything you want. What you got going on?
You can find me at Twitter, Jamie Prog. I'm also on Facebook a lot. We have a great discussion group over there called the Fantasy Football Discussion. We got 34,000 members, one of the largest in the Facebook community. So come find us, join. I'm also doing a Sunday morning show right here on Going for Two Live. Find us at 11:30 Eastern time. Come bring your questions. We'll be here to answer them.
Jordan, on to you, buddy.
You guys can find me on Twitter at jarsenal89. You can check out the weekly breakout/fakeout article. Comes out every Wednesday. I put out. So a couple of guys that are breaking out, a couple of guys that you may be mindful of, just in case it may be a fake. So check that out every week.
Yeah. All right. You can find me at Drop the Mic FF on Twitter. You can find me here every Tuesday night on the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. You can find me doing some other stuff with Going for Two. I'm gonna, I do part of the collaboration waiver wire article every Tuesday that hits, or that hits sometimes Monday night for waiver wires. I wrote up on Jacoby Myers. I know I talked about Garrett Wilson, but I wrote up on Jacoby Myers this week was my write-up. You can also find me over on, as Jamie knows, Friday nights and almost every other night with the Rum Boys Fantasy Network.
Oh, yeah.
And I got you.
All
and
right.
Jamie is joining that group as well. Every once in a while, he's going to be joining that crew. So you'll find me and Jamie over at the Rum Boys Fantasy Network. But for the Going for Two live crew, for Jamie, for Jordan, for Mike, peace out and see you guys.